streams, and this must become Sassa's responsibility to take ownership of these processes. Were you aware of that? Mr. Mashlangu's concerns?
Angizukwazi konke okwakhulunywa emhlanganweni.
I cannot possibly know everything that was discussed in the meeting.
Kodwa engikwaziyo ukuthi ama executive ayengeke aqale ukubriefwa earlier ngoba kuyachazwa lana ukuthi ama work stream aqela isikhathi. Okwesibili bakhona abanye aba leader ama branch abahlangana nama work stream.
Yes, I do remember that the work streams had requested some time for them to find their feet. And I missed that.
Bakhona abanye okay.
Sorry, I cannot remember exactly what the minister said.
Bakhona aba leader ama branch abasebehlangene nama work stream.
Okay, some of the branch leaders had already had meetings with the work streams.
Kodwa into engimangazayo ekababa uMahlangu ngoba ngaphandle komsebenzi lo wama work stream kukhona omunye okwakufanele awenze we internal biometrics.
The one thing that does puzzle me is the case of Mr. Mashlangu, because other than the other work of the work streams, there was other work that he had to do on the side, that is in relation to the internal biometrics.
All right, if we could just move on to page 214. The paragraph starting with Mr. Magwaza. Do you have it, Judge? Do you have it, Minister?
Yep.
Yes.
Mr. Magwaza raised a serious concern around the governance structure. He believed the reporting line should be to EXCO, not to the Minister, which then the solid line should be to the Sassa EXCO. He felt that EXCO had been bypassed in the planning phases of the project and requested that the work streams work to support EXCO and work with EXCO. It was EXCO's job to protect the Minister. He commended the team on the work done, but was disappointed with the lack of collaboration with the EXCO. So he requested the solid line should be between the work streams and Sassa's EXCO, not a dotted line as you suggested. Did you overrule him on that reporting?
Wayesemhlanganweni
He was at that very meeting.
bexoxa beama executive
And he was one of the executives at that meeting.
and ngokubonwa kama minutes lana abantu bama work stream abazange bamphikise ngoba kwaseqaleni kwakwazi ukuthi kuzosetshenzwa kanjani.
And as said before, nobody expressed any dissenting view, because it was clear exactly how all the work would be undertaken.
But here there is a dissenting view. He's saying, Mr. Magwaza, that the reporting, the direct line should be to the EXCO, not to yourself. And this would have, it was a what agreement?
Collective agreement.
Collective agreement.
Yes.
Was it never brought to your attention that Mr. Magwaza felt, as the CEO, that the reporting by the work stream should be direct to the Sassa EXCO and not to yourself?
Uyedwa kuphela umuntu owakhuluma ngendaba yokuthi uSassa a report ama work stream a reported directly to me.
Only one person said the work streams should report directly to me,
Mr. Dam.
and that was Mr. Tango.
And angibona ukuthi yenziwa yini ishise ibunzi kangaka le ndaba.
And I do not really understand why this becomes so important.
Ngoba ngo-October ama work stream ayeqala ukusebenza.
Because in October, the work stream started working.
And so kunesithombe esivezwayo ukuthi vele before kwasekuliwa.
Now, a picture is emerging here that even before then, there was this infighting that had started.
And la ku report kaZodwa uyachaza ukuthi ngesikhathi ama work stream esazenzela umsebenzi wawo ama executive ayesefuna ukuhlangana nama work stream.
Because in Zora's report, it is reflected here that even while the work streams were still just doing their own thing, the executives already wanted to get involved.
So angiboni indaba yokulwa ukuthi iqalaphi igcinephi.
Therefore, it's not very clear to me exactly when this infighting started and where it was leading to.
Mr. Solomon, has your question been answered?
I'm not sure, but I'm going to leave it. I want to just put a version. my
Please.
client's
Okay,
version,
all right. Please do that.
just in the interest of trying to expedite things. I don't believe my question's been answered, but I don't want to belabor it. Minister, I just want to put to you what Mr. Magwaza says, is that you took ownership of this process and direct control of the implementation process. And in a sense, the EXCO was marginalized by your taking direct control of the implementation, and the implementation process was obviously, as we've heard, being attended to by the workstream leaders. So he says you took ownership of that, you took direct control of the implementation process, and you achieved that by having this reporting structure in place, which in a sense bypassed the EXCO. Would you like to comment on what Mr. Magaza will say in his evidence?
Mchazile ukuthi kwakune structure esasibizwa ngokuthi steering committee.
I mentioned that there was a steering committee in the whole structure.
Uma ngibheka i-attendance register, abantu abaphuma ka social development akade be-attenda uDr. Makasela no Mr. Van Vrede.
And if I look at the attendance registers, I find that the Sassa people that were attending were Dr. Makasela and Mr. Van Vrede.
Futhi kubalekile la ukuthi sichaze ukuthi kukhona, for instance, i-communication eyayisuka ku-Ms. Peterson ayisayinile bese kulandela uMr. Magwaza ayisayine bese kugcina mina ngisayine. And okay.
And then when it came to the signing powers, Ms. Peterson was the first to sign.
Yeah.
First to sign, and then Mr. Magwaza, and I would be the last person to do the signing.
If kukhona ama documents evidence, kukhona
We do have documentary evidence to that effect.
kukhona futhi amanye nje akufike kusayine uMr. Magwaza bese nami ngiyasayina.
But there were a few others where Mr. Magwaza signed, and then I would immediately follow.
So angazi ukuthi yini le eloku ikekela ekuthini kufuna ukuphushwa kumina yonke into ekade yenzeka.
then I do not really understand why all the blame is being shifted now onto me regarding everything that was happening there.
But I'm not sure if you've answered the question, but I'm going to leave it. But it's you who shifted the blame to Mr. Magwaza in your original statement to the Constitutional. And that's what caused Mr. Magwaza to seek leave from the Constitutional Court to file his own affidavit. If you go to page 581 of the Black Sash bundle, a different impression is created from what you're saying now in your oral testimony to what you said under oath in your affidavit, I think it's dated 31 March 2017. Do you have it, Judge? Do you have it, Minister?
Ginay.
Yes, I have it.
What you said here, the effect of the change in leadership at Sassa and the fact that Mr. Magwaza failed to engage comprehensively with me during this critical time, in my view, contributed to delays in implementation of certain critical decisions, such as the filing of the report to this court as set out in paragraphs 39, 40, and 41. So it looks very much to me from a reading of this that you were attempting to point the finger of blame the direction of Mr. Magwaza.
Hayi mina ngikhuluma la ngendaba ye-affidavit.
I'm talking here about the affidavit.
Ngoba ngoDisemba kwakukhona abameli ababeyimisele.
Because in December there were lawyers
Beyimisele ukuthi basincedise ukusayina i-affidavit eya e-Constitutional Court. Yiloko ke engikhuluma.
Those lawyers were in the ready to help us sign the affidavit that was going to the Constitutional Court.
Sorry, I'm lost.
Can you repeat, Mr. Kulu, what you have just said?
There were lawyers that were in the ready to help us prepare or sign the affidavit that was going to the Constitutional Court.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sure that's the case, but how does that answer the proposition I'm putting to you? What I'm saying is, if we read paragraph 57 at page 581 of your affidavit, you've attempted to focus a light of blame upon Mr. Magwaza. And that's why you say there were these delays in implementation of critical decisions, one of them being the filing of the report to the court.
Angibona ukuthi ela kukhulunywa ngoMr. Magwaza kuphela. Yabekwa nezinye ingqinamba ezazikhona.
I don't think this is only about Mr. Magwaza, but there are other hiccups and hindrances that are alluded to.
But is the statement correct that Mr. Magwaza failed to engage comprehensively with you?
Kwenziwa yini ukuthi affidavit ihambe iye e-court ngingayibonanga?
What then caused the affidavit to be submitted to the court without me having seen it?
I'm sorry, just say that again.
What was the reason behind the affidavit being submitted without me having seen it?
Which affidavit did you not see?
Les I withdraw.
The one that was ultimately withdrawn.
Oh, you're referring to Mr. Magwaza's, but we'll get to that. But this is dealing with something different. You're
Sorry,
dealing with
can I just try to assist the witness if you don't mind? Minister, they are reading from paragraph 57 and 57. And they say in that paragraph, you are blaming Mr. Magwaza because he failed to engage comprehensively with you. So they are putting that to you. They say that is what you said. And then they want you to make a comment on that, to answer that particular paragraph. And if you give an answer which is totally irrelevant to what they are putting it to you, instead of answering to this particular paragraph, council may later come and argue that you avoided answering the question. Instead, you started talking about something else when they were asking about a specific issue. So be careful that if a particular statement is put to you, answer directly to that statement. Because if you don't answer it, then you say certain things which are not relevant. They may argue that you avoided the question, and when we asked you this, instead of speaking to the question we asked you, you started talking about something else. You understand the point I'm making, Minister?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Solomon.
Thank you for your guidance, Judge. What I was putting, if I can return to Minister, is the statement correct that Mr. Magwaza failed to engage comprehensively with you during this critical time? And I assume the critical time is between 1 or 3 November and maybe 31 March 2017 when you filed this affidavit.
Correct.
Correct.
So is it correct that he failed to engage comprehensively with you?
Correct.
And what engagement did you want from him? He had come into Sassa, and he makes the point in the minutes that I've just read out to you, which you've confirmed. He makes the point that he was only now appointed towards the end of October, beginning of November. He didn't know what was going on. You knew what was going on. You had put in place these work streams. You had directed who should be employed as the work stream leaders. You had directed that the work stream leaders should report directly to you, the solid line. So what did you want him to engage with you on? Someone who had just come newly into the position in November 2016.
Kwakufuneka xoxa ukuthi yini esifaka ku-affidavit.
He had to talk about what it was that would be put as content of the affidavit.
But Minister, I'm sorry, I've got to just ask you this because I remain confused, but it could be my cloud of confusion, not attributable to you. You're referring to an affidavit. That's the affidavit, affidavit that Mr. Magwaza sought to submit to the Constitutional Court that you subsequently asked him to withdraw because it went without your knowledge or consent, so you stated. And I'm going to deal with that. But that's not what's been dealt with here. I mean, perhaps let's just go to the previous page, page 56, page 580, paragraph 56.
Can we tidy up this issue first about paragraph 57, please?
I just thought I'll give us some context. I'm sorry, Judge.
You
she
think it
seems
will
to be
help?
confused.
Okay.
But
All right.
perhaps not. I mean, I'll just read it. What you say in 56 is, this affidavit sets out a detailed process of the 10 steps followed by Sassa in attempting to meet its objective of taking over the payment of social grants by 31 March 2017. I'm not going to read all of it. Then you go on to say, the effect of the change in leadership at Sassa and the fact that Mr. Magwaza failed to engage comprehensively with me during this critical time, in my view, contributed to delays in implementation of certain critical decisions, such as the filing of the report to this court as set out in paragraphs 39, 40, and 41. You're not dealing with what Mr. Magwaza did, which you seem to have objected to in filing an affidavit in March, or I think at the end of February, before the Constitutional Court. That's not what you're dealing with here. So again, the judge has asked me to try and clarify this issue with you. Can I ask again, is it correct that Mr. Magwaza failed to engage with you comprehensively? And in respect of what aspects did he so fail to do?
Correct.
And what were the aspects that he failed to engage comprehensive with you on? Is it the affidavit that he tried to place before the Constitutional Court?
Yes.
Yes.
Nothing to do with the implementation of the 7 deliverables and the undertakings that had been made to the Constitutional Court in November 2015. Because otherwise then we've misread this, and then we'll be guided by your instruction as to what you were in fact dealing with here. If you're simply dealing with the fact that he filed this affidavit on your version without having engaged with you, well then that's one thing. If it's a broader failure by Mr. Magwaza to carry out his duties as the CEO of Sassa in regard to the deadline and the deliverables, that's another thing.
Angazi-ke mangabe ngihambe eceleni sengizotshela ukuthi ngihambe eceleni kodwa
I will try to address myself directly to the point, but if I do deviate, I will be guided.
ukhona la elikabi ngo September 2015
There was a point very early in 2015
la sasesiqalile ukuxoxa ngama work stream
at the point where we had already started talking about the work streams.
ayezobheka umsebenzi wama 7 deliverables.
The work streams that would address themselves to the 7 deliverables.
Abantu abasayinile la Ms. Peterson,
The people that have signed here are the following: Ms. Peterson,
Magwaza
Mr. Makwaza,
and Dlamini.
and Dlamini yourself.
And la kunama notes I handwritten engwenzile.
There are some handwritten notes here
Ngizama
that are made.
ngizama ukuveza ukuthi akulona iqiniso ukuthi kwakukhona umuntu oblank ngokuthi kwakwenzekana.
The point I'm trying to drive home here is that there was nobody really blank about what was happening.
Nobody who had really learned. Sorry, I didn't get the last answer. Just repeat it, Mr. Interpreter. I just didn't hear it. If you just do it for my benefit.
The point I am making, as the Minister said, is to show that there is no one that did not know what was happening, that needed to know, in other words.
Okay. Then I just want to put to you further what Mr. Magwaza will say when he gives evidence. He'll say that the work streams were given a broad mandate to take over the implementation of the project, and Sassa was instructed not to interrupt them or delay them. Is that a true statement?
Angizwanga?
Could you repeat, please?
The work streams were given a broad mandate to take over the implementation of the project, and Sassa was instructed not to interrupt them or delay them.
Where are you reading?
La ama notes are very clear, and
The notes here are very clear.
la sasikhuluma ngokuthi umsebenzi awuqhubekele phambili
We were talking here about the progress that needed to be done about the work
kungabi ne delay.
in order to avoid delays.
And la uphindile uformer CEO wasign
And again, the former CEO did sign here.
ubezong advisor ukuba beku wrong lo.
She would have advised me if that was incorrect or improper.
La ngomhla ka-12/12/2016
On the said date,
kune request for ministers concurrence eyayiphuma ngo from Mr. Magwaza.
there was a request here for the minister's concurrence that came directly from Mr. Makwaza.
Ekhuluma about a phased-in approach.
He was talking there about the phasing approach.
Ikhuluma ngezinto eziningi ne report yama work stream.
It is about quite a number of things, and among them, the reporting of the work streams.
New card improvement program. So lezinto ayibonisa ukuthi sasikwaku wonke umuntu waye blank engazi ukuthi kwenzekani.
All this shows that nobody was blank, not knowing what was happening.
He says, he will say in his evidence, that the delay in achieving the deliverables as per the report submitted to the court must be seen in that context. That the work streams were, in a sense, performing their work outside of the Sassa structures insofar as the EXCO was concerned. Do you comment?
Akhona ama minutes emhlangano yama executive ne work streams.
There are minutes of meetings between the EXCO and the work streams.
When?
Yeah, nangakhona.
Are you finished, Minister?
Akhona, no, I do have the minutes here.
Which minutes are those?
Ama meeting phakathi kwama work stream nama executive akasasa.
This is a minutes of the meetings that happened between the work streams and the Sassa executives.
Are they part of the bundle of documents that we have?
Angazi.
I'm not sure.
Just give me for an example of one such meeting and the heading and date of the meeting, and then I can look at what I've got and see if it is there.
Kusukela kula ka October anawo.
Could you repeat, please?
Kusukela kula ka October anawo attendwa a meeting attendwa.
From the ones that you should have day of the meeting dated October.
La aga 18 January 2017.
What I have there is the minutes of a meeting held on the 18th of January 2017.
Kube khona 15 November 2016.
Those are the dates.
And
15 November 2016.
who attended that meeting? It's a meeting of what body or what grouping?
It's the steering committee.
So you're referring to the steering committee minutes. We do have those.
Oh, yeah. So lokho kuyaqaqisa ukuthi ama executive abe attend ama meeting. Futhi aqalanga mhlambe ngomhla ngonyaka ka 2017.
This shows that the executives did attend the meetings, and that did not start only in 2017.
Kuqale ngawo 2016.
It started in 2016.
I don't want to waste too much time on this, but I have seen minutes of work of meetings of a special committee, various minutes, but after my client was appointed, Mr. Magwaza, he wasn't present at any of those meetings of that steering committee. Do your minutes indicate that you're referencing that Mr. Magwaza was an attendee at any of those meetings?
kusho ukuthi kuzofanele ngibheke kuqala abantu ababemenywa kuleyo mhlangano ngaphambi kokuthi ngicomment.
Before I can comment, I'll have to take a look at who or at which people were invited to attend.
Are you doing that now?
Angeke ngikwazi ukukwenza manje
I
lokho.
will not be able to do it now.
Well, perhaps, are you prepared to give us that folder, and perhaps we'll get an opportunity to look at it so as not to interrupt the cross-examination. Just take that. I want to put to you further what Mr. Magwaza will say. You, amongst others, expressly stated in the presence of all executive members of Sassa that he should focus his energies on the day-to-day operations of Sassa and the work streams that the Minister had established would sort out the plans of Sassa's future payment of social grants. He says this is a summary of what you had said, that he mustn't get involved in the work of the work streams. Is that a fair comment? Do you agree that that was stated to him in February? That
Ngangakusho kanjani ukuthi CEO angangena emsebenzini wama work stream?
How could I ever have said the CEO must not be part of the work that the work streams were doing?
you say you didn't give such instruction and he engaged freely with the work streams. Would that be accurate? Is that your version?
Did you understand the question?
Ngicela uphinde.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Are you saying that there was no restriction on Mr. Magwaza's access to information that was at your disposal in the hands of the workstream leaders, and he was free to engage with them without reference to yourself?
Angazi kusho ukuthini ukuthi free engagement.
Maybe I do not understand what is meant by free engagement.
Well, his version is that you told him at an EXCO meeting on the 20th of February that he must confine himself and his energies to the day-to-day operations of Sassa and leave the work streams that you had established to do their work and not be involved in what the work streams were doing.
Ngiyathemba ukuthi la ku affidavit kuyachazwa ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi kwakungekho lula.
I think the affidavit does reveal that at that time or at that point it was not easy.
Umsebenzi wobambekile and kwaqala ukuthi kubambeke umsebenzi selokhu ngaqala ukusebenza ka social development ngokuba khona ukuthi kuqala ukusebenza umnomzana uMagwaza.
Ukubambeka, what do you mean by ukubambeka?
Ukwenza umsebenzi.
Okay. I was just clarifying one word because it could mean one or this. It was actually for the first time that work could start being done.
Kwakuwokokuqala umsebenzi ubambeka ungenzeki ngendlela efanelekile.
Human delays. Bambeka.
Yebo, delay.
Okay, that is what I thought you meant. It was only after Mr. Magwaza had been appointed or had come in his new position that problems started happening with work being unable to flow as normal.
I want to put to you that's not correct, because I'm going to refer you to minutes of a meeting in September. If you go to the Sassa bundle, page 188, and in particular 196. Does Judge have it?
Yes.
Do you have it, Minister?
Yep.
You'll see 188, it's an EXCO meeting that was held at the ranch in Polokwane, 13-14 September. This is before Mr. Magwaza was appointed. He wasn't at the meeting.
Page 188. Yes?
I'm just orientating you to what this document is, minutes of an EXCO meeting that was held on 13-14 September 2016 at the Ranch Polokwane, and the acting CEO, Mr. Ramagopa, chaired the meeting. I wanted to take you to page 196. The first block. Does Judge have it?
Just a minute. Yes.
Judge has it. Do you have it, Minister?
Yes?
Yes.
It's the new payment system. Ms. Mvalani in her presentation indicated the biometric tender has not been advertised as yet, but deadline will be met. Then, this is what I want you to focus on. Members of EXCO raised concerns that information is not shared and that people are not clear on what is expected of them. It was noted that some timeframes that were set during the course of the financial year were not met, e.g. meeting between Sassa and CPS. So there was already dissatisfaction or concerns being raised by EXCO before Mr. Magwaza got involved. Would you comment?
I-comment yami ukuthi iqala kanjani i-disquietness ungakaqalwa ukutholwa i-report ephuma kuma work stream ngoba okay.
Okay, my question, or what comes to mind, something that I do query is how disquiet could set in even before any report from the work streams.
Because if you talk about information sharing, that is the work that has to be done continuously at Sassa.
Okay. Can I just ask you, you I think said yesterday, and you'll correct me if I haven't recollected your evidence accurately, but that you first got to learn about the possibility of the deadline not being achievable from an article in Noseweek. Is that correct?
Ngithe enye yamaphepha engawafunda ayethi angeke simithe i-deadline.
I said it was one of the sources of information, periodical that I read, that indicated that we would not be able to meet the deadline.
ngachaza futhi ukuthi nama work stream ayeseqalile ukukhuluma ngokuthi angeke simeet deadline.
And I also did mention that the work streams had already started mentioning that we were very unlikely to meet the deadline.
But had they mentioned that to you, the work streams?
And this
You
Can you
say that you say one of the reasons, or one of the sources rather of information was the Noseweek article. Another was the fact that the work streams had mentioned that they didn't think they would be able to meet the deadline.
kade ngikhuluma ngalokho.
Yes, I've been talking
Kade
many times
ngikhuluma
about that.
lokho.
And that is why you called a meeting on the 5th of October 2016 with the work streams. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, our learned friends have given us a bundle which has a Noseweek article. I don't know if it's, I think there were 2 articles. I don't know if you have access to it. Has it been given to Judge? It's page 307. Well, no, yes. It's a bundle. It's an updated witness index that attorneys for Mr. Dangle had produced. Page 307. Do you have it, Judge?
Yes.
Do you have it, Minister?
Yebo nginayo.
Just look at the article and tell the inquiry if that's the article you refer to.
Iyon.
That is it.
Of course, I see there's some numerous photos of you in the article, but I see that this is dated 1 July 2016.
Le paper bhuku aliwona iphepha bhuku lomthetho. Kodwa futhi ngoJuly kwaqala kusebenza ama work stream.
This periodical is not, when you say yomthetho, you mean legal?
Yes, it's not a legal document
Okay. This periodical is not a legal document.
or departmental document or government document.
Some targets of this journal would say it's an illegal publication. But that's not my question. And you're quite right. It's certainly not official. It's the alternate press. But you had reference to it. It was one of the sources of information to you that things were not as they should be, and that the process was not on track.
Yiko nje ngahamba ngaya kaSassa ngayo find out ukuthi kwenzekani.
Yes, that was the reason why I had to go to Sassa to find out what was happening there as a result of the article.
And did you do that quite soon after the article was published?
Ngakwenza yilapho engathola khona ukuthi ba busy nge-process.
That is when I discovered that they were busy with the process,
Yama work stream.
the workstream process.
So I didn't hear Mr. Interpreter. That's when you discovered the what process?
that they were busy with the work streams process.
Who was busy with the process?
No, bana babe busy.
I foot ngicela ungayi confine to this article ngoba sengishilo ukuthi le iphepha engelona iphepha elisemthethweni iphepha engangilifundile nje for interest yami and hayi ukuthi iphepha kuyenzeka ukuthi liphume ungalifundi exactly ngesikhathi ephume ngaso.
I don't really want to talk much about this. I just happened to see it, and I may not even seen it at the time it was published. And I've said before, this is not an official periodical.
Kodwa futhi engikwaziyo ngashare le information ela no Mr. Dango.
But I do remember that I shared the information that I picked up from here with Mr. Dango.
Ukuba kwakuyimfihlo yami futhi ngangeke ngikwenze kube imfihlo yami because kwakuyinto epublishiwe.
Because this had been published, it could not possibly be something known only to me or something that I could keep to
So
myself.
I really feel I cannot be judged on the article I read and then raised a my concerns about that.
Look, Minister, I'm not going to take it further, save just to say it was you who referenced the article in your evidence yesterday. And our intrepid colleagues managed to uplift the article and placed it in the bundle.
It's fine.
All right. Now, we were looking at your affidavit, and I don't want to. We've looked at you pointing a finger towards Mr. Magwaza, but I just want to ask, when did it come to your attention that Ms. Mvulani and Ms. Ramakgopa had, in a sense, not done their job properly by reporting to you the true state of affairs as they would have known it to exist at least in April 2016 as a result of the opinion that had been produced by Mr. Kassim? When did you realize you'd been let down by them?
Ngicabanga ukuthi kade ngikuchaza lokuthi ngezwe mangabe sekufika abameli bama work stream befika nabanye abasebenza lapho bechaza ukuthi vele kade kushiwo ukuthi angeke sikwazi ukumitha i-deadline.
I've already explained this or said it before, that it was only at the time when the work streams, together with their legal advisors, came forward to mention that it would not be possible to meet the deadline.
And is that the 5th of October meeting or at some stage thereafter?
I'm not sure. Singa-check ukuthi kwakuyinini lapho.
All right. I want to further put to you from aspects of Mr. Magwaza's evidence. He will say that the decision to insource the payment function within Sassa had already been taken in 2011. Do you confirm that?
When Sassa was formed, the founding documents of Sassa say Sassa should pay grants.
Okay. Do you agree with the date 2011? I don't know if anything turns on it, but that's what he says.
Noma ngabe yipi date kodwa kuma founding document ka Sassa ukuthi uSassa wenzelwe ukukhokha ama grant.
Whatever the date, it is in the founding documents of Sassa that the institution would have to pay the social grants itself.
And it was at all times contemplated that upon termination of the tender flowing from the 2014 request for proposal which was not awarded, the abortive one, following upon the first Constitutional Court decision, that the function would be performed by Sassa. Do you confirm that?
Ileyo into esayisho ku policy statement yethu.
That is what we said in our policy statement.
Yes.
Kodwa okwesibili ne Constitutional Court yayikade isho kanjalo.
But also, secondly, the Constitutional Court also had said the same or expressed the same view.
And what he will say is that Sassa genuinely believed that the plan was ambitious, but nevertheless worked towards meeting such deliverables. Sassa commenced the process to implement the plan to achieve the deliverables as had been undertaken to the Constitutional Court. Do you agree with that?
Kukuphi lo?
Where is that?
I beg your pardon?
Where is that?
I'm not hearing why or what.
Where is it? in
No,
the
I'm saying
document?
this is what his evidence is going to be. This is what Mr. Magwaza is going to say. Just asking if you agree or disagree with that statement of his.
Nami njengawe ngicela ukubona lokukhulumayo.
Just like you, I would like to see what it is that you are reading from.
I'm reading from page 702 of Mr. Magwaza's black sash bundle of Mr. Magwaza's affidavit.
Qhubeka.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, we can resume, we can carry on.
And then he says, and this is what he'll testify to, that the process was derailed once you, Minister, directed Sassa to appoint the work streams in accordance with your directive in the letter of 9 July 2015, which we've looked at many times. He says that's what derailed the process, was the interposition of the work streams that were going to report directly to you and in a sense avoid the exco of Sassa.
Ngicabanga ukuthi kade sichaza ukuthi ama work stream awazange a reporte directly to me ngaso sonke isikhathi la njoba kubhaliwe kuyacaca ukuthi usasa ozowa hosta okwesithathu.
Okay, all right, before it becomes true. We have said here, it has been indicated many times somewhere here that the work streams would not at all times report only to me.
Futhi la umsebenzi wok-appointwa kwama work stream awumkhiphi ngaphandle uMr Magwaza ngoba kukhona la aseqala naye exoxa ngakho la kule ncwadi kango eyasayinwa 17/9/2015.
And even the appointment of the work streams did not in any way sideline Mr. Magwaza, because according to the letter dated 17th September 2016, sir?
2015.
He himself is starting to engage with the work streams.
But Minister, I'm sure you'll agree with me that precisely what Mr. Magwaza and the other EXCO members were objecting to and the reason for their objection came to pass when it seems that this reporting to you did not take place as it should have, because you were left in the dark. Would you like to comment on that?
Angisho lutho ngalokho.
No comment.
Then Mr. Magwaza will further testify about a weekend. It started on the 8th of December when he will say he was with you in Bloemfontein on Friday the 8th December 2016. Do you agree with that?
What page is that?
70524.1, but there's a typographical error. It refers to April where it should refer to December.
Oh,
And also in the heading it says the meeting of 12 October. It should say 12 December.
Yes.
So is it correct that he was with you in Bloemfontein on
Yep.
the 8th December?
Yes.
And then he went with you to Kwakwa?
yep,
You
Yes.
went, without him, sorry, on Saturday the 9th? Is that right?
or safike saya la Free State. Then sabuya ngoba sasoba ne press conference.
We went to the Free State and then came back because we would have a meeting with,
sasoba ne press briefing.
or we would have a press briefing the following day.
Well, he was with you the whole of the Sunday in the Eastern Cape. Sunday the 10th of December.
Yep,
And he said after the event, he had a one-on-one with you, meeting with you, having your usual discussions. So there was no refusal by him to engage with you. He says you met, you were in the Eastern Cape, and after the event in the Eastern Cape, you had a one-on-one meeting and the normal cordial discussions that you were accustomed to with Mr. Magwaza. Would you agree with that?
kusho uzofanele sichaze ukuthi yini umhlangano.
Maybe we need to define the meaning of meeting.
Cha. Nje angiboni ukuthi fanele ngiloko ngichaza izinto eziningi kodwa kuyafuneka sichaze ukuthi yini umhlangano.
I don't think there's a need to elaborate on that, but it is important that we should have an equal operational understanding of the definition of the term meeting.
Did you have a cordial discussion on that on Sunday the 10th of December?
Ngicela ungakhulumi ngalento ngoba ngiyakhumbula la mangabe sise Northern Cape kwase kusebusuku and sathi sithi siyaqala siyadlala ba aba esihamba nabesebenza nabo bathetha bathi no akuphunywe country naye uyazi ubaba Magwaza lokho.
I would prefer we do not even begin to talk about this because we were out there in the Northern Cape. It was late at night when we just came together to sit down on the matter and people said no, we just had to go. And Mr. Magwaza himself knows about it because he was present.
He then says, and will give evidence, that the following Monday he received a call, that's Monday the 11th of December, he received a call around 8:30 in the morning from Ms. Mbalani to tell him that there was a meeting to take place at midday which you had called, and it was about the issue of the Constitutional Court. He was quite surprised that you hadn't mentioned the meeting the previous evening when you were and day when you were together.
Nami ngangayazi meeting ukuthi izoba khona kodwa mangabe sengisibona isizathu sayo ngayibona ukuthi ijahekile.
Well, I initially also did not know that there would be a meeting, but as soon as I became aware of what was involved, I noticed that it was important for the meeting to sit.
Had you not called the meeting?
Ngayibiza ngoba uMiss Mvulane sebefikile bangichazela ukuthi kumele sibhalele i-Constitutional Court.
Well, I did call the meeting ultimately because Ms. Mvulane and them came to me and pointed out the need for us to write to the Constitutional Court.
Was that the first time that you became aware of the need to write to the court?
Ngicabanga ukuthi esengichazile eqaleni mayelana nalokho.
I think I've already said this before.
Ngithe emva kwe-meeting ka-October
I said after the meeting held in October,
ngacela ukuthi ama-work stream ahambe ayobhala i-report comprehensive
I requested the work streams to go and produce a comprehensive report
eyayichaza ngama-phase nama-cut-off date.
it would elaborate on the phases, various phases and the various deadlines.
You will say further that, and this is in paragraph 28, 707, he says, in retrospect, it was the minister who was determined that an internal solution would not be found. It then transpired that the minister was against the utilization of local banks and the post office. Is that correct?
No.
Akona ukuthi local banks ngisizakele kabi ukuthi kuthiwe ngingakhuluma into engapheli kodwa la akufanele kube local banks lo bhalwe la.
It is not correct that it should be local banks as recorded here.
Yeah, and indaba ye post office umuntu othi ngangayifuni angazi ukuthi uchaza ukuthini ngoba kusukela ku-advisory committee ngikhuluma nge-role ye post office.
And whosoever said was opposed against the idea of also hooking up with the post office, I do not just know where that comes from because right from the beginning in the advisory committee, I had always been supporting the post office idea.
He says further, paragraph 29, he had difficulty understanding why you were adamant that CPS be used.
Ngicabanga ukuthi izosiza ke futhi i-report or incwadi ephuma ku-Mr. Dango.
I think it will actually help when we read the report or letter produced by Mr. Dango.
Okwesibili ngicabanga ukuthi ama-meeting ababewahlala Mr. Magwaza nabanye nawo azochaza ukuthi kwafikwa kanjani ku-decision ye-CPS.
I think the minutes of the various meetings that Mr. Magwaza and others attended would also reveal how it was ultimately decided that CPS, or how the decision was made to use CPS.
He'll
Sorry,
say,
sorry. Could the minister repeat her answer? I didn't think the translation was quite.
On the dot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ngicela mami le report le. Ngiyabonga. Ngicabanga ukuthi okugcina ngishilo ukuthi ngicabanga ukuthi ama-minute e-meeting eyayi attendiwe ifakwa onke ama-stakeholder azochaza ukuthi kwafika kanjani ku-decision yokuthi kukhokhe u-CPS at the time.
I think a meeting will reveal, a meeting that involved all the stakeholders should reveal how the decision was made to make use of CPS.
Yeah.
Would you refer the inquiry to that meeting?
I beg your pardon?
Could you refer us to the minutes of that meeting by reference to your bundle?
Ngisazobheka ukuthi iwona yini lawo.
I
But,
think that would be too difficult for the witness to do,
Thank you.
unless some kind of assistance is given to the witness.
Fair enough, Judge. I may need to look at that bundle at some stage, but I just don't want to waste time. A member of my team has looked at it. She'll report to me what's in it. Let's leave that aside, but you say there are meetings where this was raised. Is that
Meeting yama-stakeholder yayifake Reserve Bank I am maningi and
Many meetings or many stakeholders.
cha kwakuwama-meeting amaningi futhi la akaci kahle ukuthi la sasesikhuluma ngendlela e-short term esizoyisebenzisa.
Yes, there were many.
Ukukhokha ama-grant.
There were many meetings. Sorry, and involving various stakeholders, and we were here addressing the short-term arrangement for the payout of state grants or social grants.
Was there a difference of opinion between you and the executives of Sassa as to how long that extension should be for? And on what terms?
Ngicabanga ukuthi ngichazile eqaleni ukuthi i-suggestion yayithe akube u-3 years.
I did mention in the beginning that the one suggestion was that it had to be 3 years.
Kodwa emva kokuthi kube ne-meeting yama-executive kwafika i-suggestion ethi akube u-18 months.
And after an EXCO meeting, that view was revised to 18 months.
Emva kwaloko kwaphinda kwavela i-view ethi akube u-12 months.
And thereafter, there was even a further view that it had to be 12 months.
Now, he'll say further, Mr. Magaza, that there is no record of you engaging with Sassa to consider available options and solutions to ensure that social grants were paid subsequent to the termination of the contract with CPS, bearing in mind that there was no alternative arrangement in place. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Ngiyakuphika lokho.
I disagree.
What engagement was there by yourself with Sassa Exco to consider available options and solutions?
Okokuqala kwase kungene ama-stakeholder amaningi ayebheka ama-option. Okwesibili
Okay. By that time, many stakeholders had been involved to consider various options.
kwaba nemhlangano la sasibheka imbono emibili.
And then there was a meeting where we said to consider two views.
Owokuqala wawukhuluma nge-open loop, owesibili wawukhuluma nge-post office.
The one was on the open loop, and the other one was about the post office.
Now, I wanted to say to you further that Mr. Magwaza will give evidence that he had been in favor, and I'll take you to the proposal of work streams that would fall beneath and report to a project management company. That's what had been contemplated in January 2015. Do you agree with that?
Kwakuyi decision noma kwakuyisinqumo sethu sonke leso ukuthi lo msebenzi uzokwenziwa ikhampani.
It was our collective decision at the time of view that this work had to be undertaken by a company.
If you would go to the submission, it's Minister's Bundle, page 58. Does Judge have it?
Yes.
Do you have it, Minister?
Yeah.
You'll see at page 58, it's a submission to yourself from Ms. Peterson. It's date 26 January 2015. If you go to page 60, it indicates that supported for, I'm reading the manuscript, for the Minister's approval for Sassa to start with the process of appointing a project management company to oversee the process of insourcing of the payment systems for Sassa,
Yeah.
to be included in the process. Minister to approve the final appointment. That's what he signed off on. If you look at page 57,
Yes.
you'll see that he signed there on the 29th. Can you make out that manuscript on the first page? Whose handwriting is that? You recognize?
That's my handwriting.
What does it say?
It's two points here.
Could you read them for the record?
This one is also.
Na ikhona la ngibonile.
It is also here, I did see it.
I beg pardon?
It is also here, I did see it.
Yes, but could you just read what you'd written there? It's difficult to decipher it.
It's difficult to do what?
I can't read your writing. If you could assist us by...
Or may I please be informed at all levels of this process so as to avoid
There's something about embarrassment, but
Generate, is it general?
or generate accounting or
Accounting embarrassment.
embarrassment.
so you wanted to be informed at all levels of that process.
Yes.
And then, if we look at the root form that you rely on, which is the next document, 61, which is 17th of September 2015. If one looks at page 62, does Judge have it?
Yes.
Do you have it, Minister?
Yes, I do.
You'll see their submission, and the date is 2014, 21 May 2014. Can you explain the anomaly with that date, because it refers to events after that date?
I think the best person to do that is the person who generated the submission.
Well, we did. We tried to engage with your legal team. They weren't able to be of any assistance, I understand. I didn't do it directly, but that's a report.
But the submission comes from the CEO.
And who was that? Ms. Ramagopa?
I think you
Or was
can
it Ms.
see.
Peterson?
Yeah, I think you can see what's written there.
But be that as it may, between January 2015 that we looked at, the 25th of January, and this date that's on page 61 of the 17th of September, you had written on the 9th of July the letter of instruction to Ms. Peterson.
There are many things that happened in between that.
So what I want to put to you is that Mr. Magwaza will say that he was in favor of a project management team under which work streams would be housed. In regard to the work stream leader system that you had initiated, well, you had given that instruction and you had decided on who was to be appointed. And we've seen that in the letter of the 9th of July 2015. So his affixing his signature to the document on the 17th of September 2015 was simply given effect to what you had already decided.
But I think there is also a memorandum where Ms. Peterson explains about the availability and the non-availability of some of the members that had agreed to be part of this process. And there are reasons why those people were not available.
But why did you migrate from a project management structure to workstream leadership structure that would report directly to you? What made you, between January and July, change your stance on how this process should be managed?
Because work had to move on.
Then he'll say further.
Sorry, can I just, for my own information, Minister, I may be wrong about this, and I don't know how important this is. At some point, I got the impression that you felt that a project management company should be done away with in favor of work streams because it could be more expensive.
It was expensive, Judge, because they made a proposal, and we saw that the proposal was quite exorbitant.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge. Now, I just wanted you raised this question of the withdrawn application. I want to give you what Mr. Magwaza's version is of that. He says it was filed on the 28th of February 2017, and there was an instruction by you to have it withdrawn. That's to the Constitutional Court. Is that correct?
Yes.
He says that the decision had been taken at a meeting on the 16th of February, which he arranged and facilitated on your instructions. Is that correct?
It's correct.
He says that you never communicated with him that Sassa should not approach the court. The first time it came to his knowledge that you had instructed legal services of Sassa not to approach the court was on 16 February 2017, and that was on the basis that you still had to consult and that a filing was to be done on 20 February 2016. Is that correct?
Angiwakhumbuli lawo ma-date.
Oh, I do not remember those dates. Sorry, I'm listening. I forgot that she spoke in Zulu. My humble apologies.
Now, he says he waited for your instructions pursuant to your proposal to consult on the affidavit, but given the deadline of 31 March was imminent, and upon legal advice he took a decision to file the application on 20 February 2017. Did you take grave umbrage at his having taken that initiative?
Ngicabanga ukuthi ngichazile ekuqaleni ukuthi azange ngiyibone i-affidavit.
I think I did mention in the beginning or before that I did not see the affidavit.
And angiboni ukuthi futhi ukhona omunye political head we department owayengavuma ukuthi nje kuhanjiswe i-affidavit engazange azayibona.
I don't think there's ever any political head anywhere that would have allowed something like that to happen where an affidavit is submitted without them having seen it.
Kakhulukazi mangabe kubalulwa i-concurrence yomsebenzi.
Especially when it related to concurrence regarding work.
He says in his capacity as the CEO of Sassa, he felt entitled to do so.
Well, that was his view. I cannot say much about it.
He will further say, it's an aspect I did commence examining you on at the outset, that he was not responsible for shaping how Sassa would implement its mandate prior to his appointment. That fell within the purview of Sassa, and in particular its executive committee under the leadership of yourself. Do you agree with that?
That is his opinion.
Do you disagree with his opinion?
I said it is his opinion.
I know you did, but I'm asking you if you disagree. Is his opinion wrong?
I
think this is my way of responding respectfully.
Okay. Now, there was an EXCO meeting on 1920 April 2017. If you could go there, it's page 248, the Sassa documents. In the reporting lines, and it envisages that there was something that needed to be corrected. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And some of the work streams have been meeting, but HR has never met. Hence, Ms. Ndlovu was recommended to lead the HR work stream work. Ms. Mlani was of the view that as much as Sassa executives may want to play the blame game, Sassa must also take a portion of the blame because this change program has never been taken seriously within Sassa itself. Do you agree with those comments?
Ngicabanga ukuthi la inkinga kwakuwukuthi njengoba ngichazile ekuqaleni i-work stream ye human resource neye communication ihambisana ne local yeah ne or communication ne human resource anga qhubeka.
I have said before that the HR and communication work streams did not take off at all.
Then over the page, the relationship between the Minister and the CEO is not improving. Mr. Magwazi explained at length his various efforts in trying to resolve the relationship with the Minister and even through the mediation of very prominent persons. Is that correct?
Into ebalekile ukuthi uku-improve i-relationship kumele kubonakale ngomsebenzi hayi ngokukhuluma.
The important thing here is to see improvement in the discharging of duties or in the performance of the work rather than through talking.
Just on the question of the due diligence that the work streams were to perform, you said they needed a 2-month period in June and July to do so. Is that correct?
They said so.
And presumably the outcome of that due diligence simply endorsed what Sassa already knew in April, that the deadline would not be met. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes.
And flowing from that due diligence, the mandate to the work stream leaders changed. Is that correct?
Yashintsha kanjani?
How did it change?
Well, it was no longer about implementation. It was about how best to do damage control, I imagine.
Yep.
Yes.
Just want to be sure. No, I think it appears from the affidavit of Ms. Mvalani, rather the witness statement. Yeah, it's paragraph 34 of Ms. Mvalani's witness statement. Do you have it, Judge? Do you have it, Minister?
Yes.
She says, when the work streams commenced their due diligence of Sassa, it became apparent that the 7 deliverables articulated in the November 2015 report and the deadline of 31 March 27 was simply not achievable in the stated time frame. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then
Yes.
And then she says, faced with the immediate priority of the expiry of beneficiary cards on 1 April 2017, the work streams were tasked with developing and ensuring a business continuity plan as of 31 March 2017 to ensure the continuity of grant payments. Is that correct?
Yep.
It was
Yes.
Only in December 2016 that CPS confirmed card continuity beyond 31 March 2017.
Bakonfirma emva kokuthi ama work stream eseshilo ukuthi possible ukuqhubeka nekhadi.
They confirmed that only after the work streams have indicated that it was possible to carry on with the card arrangement.
I have no further questions, Judge.
Mr. Malik.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, with your guidance, we propose to explore 3 topics of importance to the version of Mr. Dango, to the extent that it is in conflict with what the Minister has said in the course of her oral testimony. And for your benefit and that of the Minister, the 3 topics that we would explore relate to the following. The first would relate to the question whether or not there was any form of consultation between the Minister and Mr. Dango, and we will explore the version of the Minister in that regard to the extent that she suggested yesterday and today that she had some discussion with Mr. Dango, firstly with reference to the Noseweek article, and secondly with reference to what she said yesterday, that she had deployed or employed Mr. Dango in order to help her in the course of the implementation of the workstream project. The second topic that we will explore relates to the question of the urgency of the appointment, the functions and duties of the workstream, and the objective of the workstream with reference to the obligation to report to the Constitutional Court. Immediately when it became clear to all concerned that Sassa will not be able to meet the critical deadline of 30 March 2017. The next topic that we will explore would relate to the reasons given by the Minister why she did not disclose in her affidavit of March 2017 to the Constitutional Court the fact of the appointment of the workstream, the composition of the workstream, how the workstream team leaders were appointed, and the functions and duties of the workstream. You will recall that in that regard, the Minister's version is that until she had read both the affidavits of Mr. Magwaza and that of Mr. Dango, which they submitted to the Constitutional Court, she was unaware that both of them had taken the view that the function of the workstream constituted parallel processes inconsistent with the governance protocols of Sassa. And there will be 1 or 2 other things that we will explore in conclusion. So with your leave, may I start with the first topic, and that is the question of consultation or lack thereof as between the Minister and Mr. Dango. Minister, I'd like to start with that topic with reference to the letter that you had written to the Chief Executive Officer of Sassa, and that is Ms. Virginia Peterson. It is that famous letter of 9 July 2015 which triggered the decision to institute the work stream. On the record that I've been working with, you will find that letter at page 66 of the Black Sash bundle. May I please ask you kindly to turn to that letter? Do you have that letter, Minister?
I'm still trying to find it. Still trying to find it.
No.
I have it.
Minister, I'd like to explore some big picture points and conclusion with reference to that letter concerning the question of consultation. I'm not going to take you through chapter and verse of the letter. The first big picture point I'd like to explore with you is that no doubt in that letter you record and direct attention to several decisions that you and you alone took with regards to the establishment of the workstream. Not so?
I do not agree with that.
Can I ask you to go to page 66 of that bundle and look at what you say at the last unnumbered paragraph of that letter. You start that paragraph with a clear communication that you have decided that in order to roll out implementation process diligently, we need to retain the collective knowledge and institutional memory of key members of the committee. And by that committee, I understand it to refer to the Ministerial Advisory Committee, which had already tabled confirmation to the Constitutional Court that Sassa will self-provide come the end of the CPS contract. I suggest to you that that paragraph records your decision. Do you or don't you agree with that conclusion?
Ayihambi yodwa leyo paragraph, ihamba nencwadi yonke iphelele. Iphinde iqhumane ne-meeting ye-executive eyathatha leso sinqumo.
That paragraph must not be read in isolation because it goes together with.
Ihamba nencwadi yonke.
It goes together with the rest of the letter.
And the spirit of the meeting where the advisory committee gave its report.
We can get to the rest of the document, but for now, please focus attention to my question. That on the reading of that paragraph, you record a clear, unequivocal, and unambiguous decision that you have made a decision. Do you or don't you agree with the proposition?
I did say I disagree.
Can you go to the next page, which is paragraph 67? In like manner, You say to the Chief Executive Officer, and I quote, "To this end, comma, I have decided to retain the services of the following," and there's no need to get to the names of the individuals. That is your decision. Do you or don't you accept that that records your decision?
Kwakuyi-process le. I-decision ngiyithatha based on the process.
It is a decision, yes, but it is a decision based on a process.
I know it's a decision. The proposition is it is your decision.
Ayikho into wrong ngokuthi executive ithathe isinqumo.
There is nothing wrong with an executive deciding.
Sorry, I didn't hear, Mr. Kulu. There's what?
There is nothing wrong with an executive taking a decision.
Are you saying that that paragraph conveys a decision of the executive or your decision?
Ngicabanga ukuthi sengiyicacisile ukuthi le process ngathatha i-decision yayo based on a consultation, one, with members of the advisory committee.
Okay. I have already clarified that although this is recorded as a decision by me, it was based on a consultative process involving the advisory committee and who else?
Yaphinda yazoxoxwa i-executive.
And the same was discussed by the executive or EXCO.
I will get to the question of consultation, believe you me, because I know that you have spoken about consultation with the executive committee of Sassa. But for now, what I want to explore with you is that the two paragraphs I have read reflect a decision by you, which you communicate to the Chief Executive Officer. Let me get to the penultimate paragraph of that letter on the same page, that is page 67. You say, and I quote again, "I envisage that the implementation will take place over a 3-year period." Can I stop there? That was your view of things on how the process relating to the execution of the project by the workstream would take place. You formed a view about the duration of the implementation of that project. Do you or don't you accept that?
Ngiyavuma futhi akekho wangiphikisa ngalokho. O
Well,
akekho owavela nombono ohlukile okwakufuneke angibonise.
Yes, I do accept that, but nobody ever came forward with a different view, anyone that had the right to express such a view.
Of course, no one took a view because they did not know what you envisaged. But on what you envisaged to be the duration of the work of the workstream, the period for the implementation of that project will exceed the deadline of March 2017, which by all accounts, that was the deadline by which Sassa had promised the Constitutional Court it will take the implementation of grant payments. Do you accept that?
Yebo.
Yes.
So on your envisioned approach and duration, it was quite clear that the implementation of this project would, as at July 2015, go well beyond the deadline of March 2017. There was no way at all, insofar as you have envisioned the implementation of the project, that the deadline of March 2017 would be met.
Mangabe ufunda le ncwadi kuphela ungasho njalo.
Yes, that would be a view one can form if one reads only this letter and this letter only in isolation.
Engafundanga about ama-phase ekufuneke ahanjwe, and kuma-phase wonke ipart ebalekile kwakukhokhwa kwama-grant by Sassa.
And the context there would involve the defining of the various phases, and one phase involved the paying of
The important one.
the important one was the paying of the grants in-house by Sassa.
Minister, the next big picture point I'd like to explore with you with reference to this letter is that when you conveyed your decision, when you issued the directions recorded in this letter, you did not consult at all with Mr. Dango, did you?
Kanti ubani ufuneka a-consult omunye, and kusuke afuneka am-consulte ekuphi?
But then whom must consult who, and where must each one be?
I'm going to ask you questions, and I'm going to insist that you answer them without asking me questions. Did you or did you not consult with Mr. Dango when you wrote this letter recording your decisions and directions?
Mr. Dango ngamkhetha ukuthi uyena ozomela ekomitini le-interface beno Dr. Makasela.
I did appoint Mr. Dango, along with Dr. Makasela, that he would stand in for me at where?
The interface committee.
Oh, okay, on the interface committee.
And kuma register uyambona ukuthi Dr. Makasela uyithathe serious le ndaba, uya-attenda yena.
And if you look at things, Dr. Makasela took this seriously because he would attend the meetings.
I cannot speak on behalf of Dr. Magazela. I don't represent him. I suggest to you, and that will be the evidence of Mr. Dango, that you did not consult with him before you wrote this letter, recorded the decisions you did, and issued the directions you made to Mrs. Peterson. Do you or don't you have a comment on that version which will be put up to the committee, to the inquiry by Mr. Dango?
Wathini Mr. Dango mayisayibonile iletter?
What did Mr. Dango say when he saw the letter?
Minister, as I understand the situation, at that time, Mr. Dango was the Director General, was he not?
He was a special advisor, Judge.
He was special advisor to
The minister.
to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Now the question is, did you then consult with your special advisor, Mr. Dango, when you wrote this letter?
Ngizobheka kuma documents. Kodwa enginesiqiniseko sakho ukuthi uMr. Dango waye ku team ekwakufanele yenze i-interface.
Okay. I will have to consult my records, but what I can say for sure is that Mr. Dango was to be on the interface committee.
Would it not have been important for you to consult with your special advisor?
Kubalekile.
It was important, or it is important.
Kodwa into enkulu ukukhuthala komuntu bonakala ngokuthi uma enikezwa umsebenzi thiwa ka attend ama meeting awa attend wayizonika I directive eclear kakhulu ukuba wayiwa attend ama meeting.
But also what informs
The seriousness.
this, the seriousness of everything is the diligence with which a person discharges the duties that are assigned to him. For instance, in this case, Mr. Dango would have been in a better position had he been diligent in attending the meetings.
Mr. Malik, are you able to tidy up this thing of
Yes.
consultation before we adjourn?
Can I just conclude on a note that I'd like the Minister to consider overnight so that tomorrow we explore this issue on specific quite quickly. Minister, you talk about consultation. Can I ask you to go to that statement? And it is in the Minister's witness bundle, and you will find it at page 1. That's where it is. That's where it starts. And you will see that in that statement, you talk about consultation from page 10, paragraph 30.1. I have read that statement.
Can we please just hang on a bit? I have not yet found the file. I have it now.
You will see, and for the purposes of an overnight exercise that you are free to do to facilitate tomorrow's proceedings, that you record clearly, without doubt to all who would read that paragraph, that your decision to appoint work streams was preceded by thorough consultation with Sassa or Sassa Exco, and was a product of recommendation of the Ministerial Advisory Committee. The suggestion that I'd like to explore with you tomorrow, it is even on your own statement, which you confirmed when you start your testimony to be true and correct. You make it clear that you consulted with all other than Mr. Dango. Do you accept that?
Okokuqala kuzofuneka ngibone ukuthi yini eyenza uMr Dango angabi ipart ye meeting la kwakudiscusswa khona lokho.
First of all, I need to find out why Mr. Dango was not part of the first meeting where this, or of the meeting where this was first explored.
Judge, I believe that this would be a convenient stage to adjourn for today.
Yes, thank you very much. We will meet tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Judge, sorry, can you remind us all to bring our diaries tomorrow?
You have already reminded them.
And what time to be here tomorrow?
Maybe if we come 15 minutes earlier and then we start with the diaries. 8:45, and then we sort out the diaries before we commence.
You need water. Should I get it?
What do I take today?
Where are the files? Read it with this statement.
What?
That portion, page 10. If you want to read it, I'm not sure. Which one? You need this one with the statement that Mr. Maleka referred to. Oh, yes, there. Yes. Page 10. That is. The rest is fine.
Other things we'll see tomorrow.
You need water. Should I get it?
Maybe one. What do I take today?
Where are the files? Read it with this statement.
What?
That portion, page 10. If you want to read it, I'm not sure. Which one? You need this one with the statement that Mr. Maleka referred to. Oh, yes, there. Yes. Page 10. That is. The rest is fine.
Other things we'll see tomorrow.